So it's the start of September, and that means that we need to look over our election map again, go back into this, and have a look at what's changed from last time. So we can go straight in, fill in the Democrats' safe and likely seats here. Seats? Electoral votes, rather. States. Um, am I missing? I feel like. Illinois. Then Nebraska 2, Maine, 1st District, and at large. I think that'll be safe. Maybe you could argue it's 8, 9, or 10, it doesn't matter. And then Virginia and Minnesota. So, 109, and New York, obviously. So, 226 for the Democrats. That's their sort of base, that's their minimum. And then we can fill in the Republican safe and likely seats here. Seats again. States, rather. Iowa. Iowa was another one. That was, what, 20 points to Republicans? There's a poll that's set to come out that's 20 points to Republicans. That's crazy. Anyway, here we are. So 219 to 226. These are the floors for both parties at the moment. Maybe Virginia. Harris and Walls are going to, or at least Harris, is going to New Hampshire, Virginia, and Minnesota. Really curious. Very strange. I don't know why they would go there when you've got Michigan. So she was in Michigan actually the other day. But you've got Michigan so close, Pennsylvania. She's also been there, but Wisconsin, North Carolina, Georgia. Georgia's another one. She needs to be down in Georgia. That is a winnable state, I think, for her. But anyway, we can get into it here. So we've got Arizona, which is in the average is pretty much deadlocked at the moment, but that probably means Trump's winning it. You look at the recent polls, even for one even, and this is without Kennedy. So realistically, I've put plus Kennedy on here because I need to keep reminding myself that he's actually pulled out because it seems, well, the world of politics, it moves so fast that I just forget that even happened. It literally happened a week ago, and or maybe 2 weeks ago now, but I've already basically forgotten it's happened. But Arizona, I'd put it as a Trump lean at the moment, or North Carolina as well. I think will lean to Republicans. I think of the seven, the most likely to go Republican is North Carolina, then Arizona, and then probably Pennsylvania. Um, but we'll cross those bridges when we get to them. So North Carolina, though, I'm sure will be a lean. Where do we have next? Georgia. So Georgia, Trump's been up this sort of all of August, and it seemed in the average Kennedy's pulled out, and somehow Trump's gone down. So I'm not quite sure what's going on there, but you see the recent polls. This is what I was expecting before. So at the start of August, we had Trump 4, Trump 1, Trump 1, Trump 4, and now it's kind of swinging back. You get the black voters on side for Harris, and you go plus 2, plus 2, plus 1, plus 1. So at the moment, Georgia, just off the polling, I'd probably lean Democrat at the moment. So we're at 246 to 242. Also, I think Democrats will obviously take Michigan. The most likely ones for the Democrats to take are going to be Michigan, then Wisconsin, then Georgia. Nevada is the one that's right in the middle that you could end up deciding the election when we have been through all the polls. We'll leave Nevada till last and we'll go through. We'll have a quick look at Michigan. Yeah, she's up by roughly 2 points. Trump could still win there. That's within the margin of error, but and I say that because Trump's trending better at the moment. But I think she's got Michigan locked down for now, at least. We've got Nevada there. We have to look at Pennsylvania and Wisconsin. So Pennsylvania's had Harris up the whole time, but I just don't believe it. I think this Bloomberg ones in here or Morning Consult are really bringing that average up. So I'd probably, yeah, Trump's up at the moment. Obviously, this is a Republican poll, but Trump's up in the most recent poll. The Telegraph only has Harris up by one. Trump was leading all of, well, these are radical politics. These are Republican internals. But it does seem like a bit of a toss-up at the moment, to be honest. But I think come election day, again, if I was forecasting, I'd probably tilt it to Republicans. So 265 to 257, we got 2 states left, and the Republicans need to win one to take it home. We'll go to Wisconsin next. So Wisconsin, we have not Kennedy pulling out hasn't made a lot of difference apparently, which I struggle to believe. But again, I think you look at these, ignoring the morning consult ones because they are just atrocious. But 3-4-5-4, okay, you say Harris probably win. I mean, Emerson, which is probably the most respectable pollster on here, has Trump up by one in Wisconsin. And you got to keep in mind, last election cycle and the election cycle before, the polls were like 6 to 7 points off against the Republicans. So, um, realistically, if you were going to take that and apply it now, Trump would be up by like 5 in Wisconsin. But we can only go off what we know right now, off what we've seen, and it's pretty much Harris, floating around +4. So, we'll say that Wisconsin is the Democrat win. And that means we've only got Nevada left to decide the election. Well, what can we talk about? The no tax on tips? Okay, well, we'll look at the polls. So, Trump's up in the most recent... Well, this is what we're tending to see now. Trump's up in the most recent polls, but Harris is up in the average because she's obviously been dominating as of late. She's +10. +10. That's ridiculous. There's no way that even ever happened. But anyway, even Morning Consult only has her up by 4. Trump's up by 1 in this one. In the Telegraph, he's even. So, really... Also, another thing I'm going to be interested in, and probably no one else cares about, is the Libertarian versus Green. I think Libertarian are going to get knocked off from third place. The enthusiasm for Chase Oliver is nowhere. So I think Jill Stein might be able to knock off Chase Oliver. Anyway, so we've got Nevada. We've got the no tax on tips thing, which was a horrible thing for Harris. I think she was just, the mindset was, okay, let's slip this in there. Let's try and get these, because it worked for Trump. Let's try and get these voters back on side. And it kind of did work, but then at the same time, you just made yourself look like such a silly person with that move. So really, again, I think, how was Kennedy doing here? Kennedy was doing, well, according to Focal data, he was doing pretty good. So, I mean, they had Trump at 39%. That is insane. New York Times had it at 4. They had Trump up midway through August. So that's unusual. But I think... you kind of have seen the Kennedy bump, though, because he's gone from sort of roughly 45, 46 to now... well, this is according to Bloomberg, but in Fox he was at 46. To having, 47, 48, 49. So, I'd probably tilt Trump at the moment. But you look at the board and you've got Pennsylvania, which is open. You've got Nevada, which is open. I think Michigan and North Carolina are both, if the other party has a really good night, they'll take them. But you look at the last 2 elections, we thought the last 2 elections would be really close, okay? And Republicans in 2016 had over 300. And Democrats in 2020 had over 300. Perhaps it is going to be a Trump win in Wisconsin. This is his road to 300. A Trump win in Wisconsin. And then it would have to be a Trump win in Georgia. And then he'd have to take Michigan, probably. And then for the Democrats to get to 300, I think you're looking at Pennsylvania and Nevada and then Arizona, I guess. That would be their road to 300. But, my point is these elections are a lot, further away from close than we think. It's rarely decided by one state, as well, last time was Al Gore against George Bush. And I don't think it's going to happen this time. I think by the time the election rolls around, Harris will be down major. So I actually want to look at the if we were going to go off the most recent poll. So we reset all of the swing states. I use that term loosely, uh, because I don't think Michigan and North Carolina are really too swingy at this point. But Trump wins Nevada. Okay. In Wisconsin, Trump wins by one. Uh, or is it? Yeah, that updated. That's by Trafalgar though. I don't know if I can really adhere to that one. Hmm. We'll go Emerson because that was over. That's the most respectable one over this most recent time period. So Trump's up by one allegedly in Wisconsin. Uh, Pennsylvania, Trump's up by two. Ah, Trafalgar. Okay, Trump's up by one according to Wick. Uh, and you're already at 254. North Carolina, I'm sure Trump will be up. That's right. And then you're at 270 already. You go to Georgia. This might be a Harris win. It is. Um, you put that as a tilt. And then you got Michigan and Arizona. Michigan is a is even according to the most recent poll has Trump up by one. So, um, okay, that's interesting. And then Arizona has it even. Oh, there we go. It's updated. Trump up by one. So really, this is the alleged state of play according to each of the most recent polls. It's swinging back. It's swinging back. We saw Republicans were way up, and now it's swinging back. So we'll see how this turns out. But if I was to make a projection at the moment, I'd probably say Michigan stays there. I'd probably say Georgia's a win there for them. But if I was to personally project, not looking at the polls, just my own personal opinion, I think Wisconsin would tilt to Republicans. So you're looking at 281 to 257. But if we're going off the most recent polls and just off that data, I'd go 271 to 267 at the moment. But and that might even be closer than I had it last month. But we'll see. We will see. It's certainly an interesting one. The Harris campaign is not on the front foot at the moment with New Hampshire, Minnesota, and Virginia's news. So we'll see. We'll see. I don't think Trump wins any of them, by the way. Just it's just interesting to have a look at that. But we will see. I still have it as a Republican win narrowly, but I think the margins are widening now in places like North Carolina, Arizona, Pennsylvania, perhaps, and then Georgia's sort of swinging back to Democrats, which I think makes sense. And then you're looking at Michigan going further left, that makes sense. And then Wisconsin's kind of a wild card. We'll just have to see on election night. Same with Nevada, but 271 to 267.